So sometimes just leave the film, right? Leave it where it is. Let it stand, let it stay on the wall as a classic. Don't try to remake it. Because you do that and you make people feel like you never made any, or you didn't even put any effort into the first one.
In recent times, we've had a lot of Nollywood movies remade into sequels and even classics. While this might sound exciting when you hear it, are they really necessary? This and many more are what we'll be discussing today on It's a Wrap. My name is Omowonuola Tiamiyu, and I'm not alone. I have with me Dami Dawson. Hi, Dami.
How you doing?
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm okay.
It's nice to have you on.
Yeah, same here. It's good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too. So now talking about remakes and sequels, you know, there have been a lot of conversations. Even right now, there are a lot of movies that are in conversation about, you know, getting a remake and all of that and a sequel. So do you think that movies should be made into sequels because of their standalone success?
Yeah, so this is another big conversation. Now, this is it. When filmmakers do films, particularly standalone films, they put everything into the film. Like I'm talking about storyline now, they put it into one single film. So when you try to do a sequel, probably based on the success financially, commercially, or you think people love it, what you're doing is you're diluting the originality of the film, right? And you're also impacting the narrative of the film because your intention wasn't to make a sequel or wasn't to make the film in parts. What you planned to do was to make one film, and you put everything in that one film. So it's a struggle trying to pick out stuff and trying to remix or what's the word now? Stretch this conversation or stretch the story. You know, when you put everything in one. I mean, the number of films that I felt, despite the commercial success, did not need a sequel. A number of them. I mean, this is not just the Nollywood conversation, it's also a Hollywood conversation. I'll give you examples. For instance, Living in Bondage is a classic that should have never been remade. I mean, there's some films you don't touch. Living in Bondage for me still stands out as one of the best films that ever came out of Nollywood back then. A big shout out to Kenneth Okonkwo. Mad film, right? And I saw what Play Networks tried to do with Breaking Free. That's the one that I think 2019 or 2020 did about, you know, I mean, effort, I would say, good effort. I mean, it was Ramsey Noah's directorial debut, but it did not do justice there. Because the thing is, when you see a sequel, you're expecting that it's better than the first one. For instance, I want to see part 1, part 2, part 3. I'm expecting that part 2 is better than part 1, and part 3 is better than part 2 and part 1. For instance, Merry Men, part 1 was fair. Wasn't good, but was fair. But part 2 did not even match up at all. Part 2 was a joke. I think that was, what's the name? I can't remember the particular title. And this recent one, Nemesis, is just a complete joke. It's laughable, right? I know some persons will get emotional about it, but it's not it. The same thing with Hollywood now. You go to Matrix. Matrix had, the first installment had better success commercially and in terms of people loving it. But what came out after Reloaded, Revolution wasn't even close. So sometimes just leave the film, right? Leave it where it is. Let it stand, let it stay on the wall as a classic. Don't try to remake it. Because you do that and you make people feel like you never made any, or you didn't even put any effort into the first one. You get me? So yeah.
So now how do sequels impact the artistic quality of the first film?
It's never original. It's never original. The first film you make is the most original as it could be. Right, because then you're thinking, what can I do to stretch this film? It's like you're recycling themes and stuff. You're not, because when you made the film in the first place, it wasn't, part of the process wasn't to make the film in installments. Your decision to make the film in installments was driven by how people accepted the film. So it's not like you, from the beginning, you had the plan that this was going to be part 1, part 2, part 3. Now you're doing that because people love it. For instance, shout out to Funke Akindele and The Tribe Called Julia. It's done over $1 billion in box office. If she comes tomorrow and be like, oh, I want to do a sequel. People love this one, so I should do a sequel. I would not be for it because I feel that film is done the way it is. Don't touch it anymore. Do something else, right? So it would definitely affect it. It would never be as, even you, the director or the producer, whatever you are, you can't be as creative as you were in the first installment. It is not me trying to play it on anybody. It's just the truth. Go and check it. Go and check the likes of Wedding Party, the first one by Kemi Adetiba directed. good. It was okay. But then they're doing Destination Dubai, Dubai Forever. Came out as a joke. You see the same thing with Chief Daddy. Chief Daddy, I mean, didn't exactly have a story at the beginning. It was just incoherent. But then the second one, Chief Daddy 2, was just a complete mess. And you talk about films. There are other films like that. You see In a Kind of Pretty Serpent. Oh my. You see Glamour Girls, and you're wondering, why did they touch it? Just leave it the way it is. So sometimes it would definitely not be like the original. So there's no point, because then even the guys who are watching the film are looking forward to, I want to see something different. For instance, Sakaba is about to be, is in the process, right? I'm happy because the person directing this one is the same guy who directed the first one. So I feel like there's a chance that it might make some sense, But then the likes of In the Kind of Pretty Serpent, everything that Play Network has been doing, it's been directed by someone different. So the vision is different. Whatever you put into making the first one is not the same as the second or third one. So it's always, and directors with different visions. That's why I stopped writing. I used to write before, but directors, there's what they turn your script. You give them a script, you turn it to their own. And it comes out and you're looking at, this is not what I wrote, man. Like, this is different. And that's the way they are, or they're built, or they're thought to approach the direction from. So yeah, it can never be the same. It would always be different, and it's either it's better or it's not. That's why I live with. It's either you're doing better or you're not even doing up to what you've done before. So if you cannot do better than the film that was done before, don't do it. Right? You don't have to. And Nigerians do it mostly because of money. And for instance, if look at Aki and Popo, the remake. It was just come on now, you're trying to bring two grown-up men. They're grown up then, but then now you're trying to bring them back to make. It was just a complete joke. Joke. So they should leave the films where they are, be creative and do more films, do more stuff that could go up as classics. That's what people should think about. Sequels, sometimes the money is too big and you cannot say no. Like Kemi Aditi asking your boys a series. Return of the King, yeah.
So talking about why some of these things these movies are remade, because I just want to talk about some of the classics now. I think there's also the space for nostalgia. Yes, I get your point on the money, but I think sometimes one of the reasons why directors or people come to say, oh, let's redo this film, is because there's a nostalgia that comes to it. Like, oh, I watched this film back then, and then making it again, maybe to have the artistic feel of the present would make it more appealing, just for us to remember what we fell in love with. So do you think that there's that space, or there's room for that, considering, what you said now? Yes, I understand that when we remake, we might sometimes stretch the artistic quality and even the content direction and originality. But do you think that nostalgic feeling is also something to encourage the remake? Or maybe now when we remake, maybe we just plan towards making it better?
I think my problem or my challenge is the guys remaking the film. It's not. Like, nostalgia is good. It's marketable, but the guys who are making the films are the guys who have money and who feel like they can remake the film. To be honest with you, some of them don't even know anything about the film. They probably just saw the film now, compared to those that saw the film then. You're seeing the film like Isakaba now. You're probably thinking, who are they thinking? But then that was like one of the biggest action films back then. You're seeing a film like Living in Bondage now. You probably not understand it because you have been exposed to good camera quality, to the mediocre, storylines that we have. You always want to laugh in all the films that you're watching. So now when you see it now, I'm talking 2004 or in the 2000s, you would never get the same feeling they got when they saw the film then. Which is why, if anybody, that's why I said Isakaba might come out good, because Lancelot is the one doing the film. He did it 2001, I think, or 2000, thereabout. So he's the one. It's his vision. He knows what the film was then. He could put more into what the film is going to be now. But most of the guys doing it now don't know anything about the film. They want to jump in it because people might, be anticipating a remake, or there's money to be made in it. That's all I see. Nothing more. You get me? Yeah.
So now, the audiences typically respond to standalone films differently than sequels. And how does that, affect general reception?
I think it's straightforward, because when a film drops and you kill it, there's bound to be love for the film. The way people love A Tribe Called Judah is because that's the first kind of film from Funke's stable. A part two might not work for them, right? And to be honest, it's mixed reactions. Some persons would love the sequel. Some persons would think, bruh, you should have left it the way it was. I mean, I'm looking forward to what Anikulapo would do, what Kunle Afolayan would do, Anikulapo the series, The Rise of the Spectre. I mean, Kunle is good artistically, like colors, cameras, cinematography. But I think his best film was October 1st. That's the best film that Kunle has ever done. And I'm saying this with all sense of responsibility and respect. He's a good filmmaker, but you can't compare October 1st to any film that's done after October 1st.
Figuring before.
You can't. You can't. I can argue with it from now to tomorrow. That's his best film ever. Right? So the audience will see it differently. I will see it differently. I would always see it differently. I don't watch film because I just want to laugh. That's that's the difference between me and those who comment when you put up my post. You know, people will say that, oh, this guy is there, hard work. Why are you talking about it? But I'll tell you something, right? The fact that I get to pay to see a film means I should have a say in what you do. If I pay 5,000 naira to see a film at the cinema, it means whatever I say about your film in terms of feedback should be taken into consideration. You might decide to disregard it, but you would listen to what I have to say because I paid to watch your film. Now, it's beyond you spending millions to make the film, but you're making the film for people to watch, and it's not free. Whether I'm playing on Netflix, Amazon, or whatever, the VOD platforms, or paying to the cinemas, I'm paying money. And in this economy, if I'm going to the cinema to go watch a film for 5,000 or 7,000, it needs to be worth it. And if it's not worth it, I should talk about it. Now, if I see you make a sequel that doesn't make sense, I should talk about it. So I know that some loyal fans would love it regardless because people watch film differently, right? People are watching to laugh. I'm watching the script. I'm watching the story. I'm watching the cinematography. I'm watching the direction. That's the difference between you and me. So I would have a different feeling towards a sequel that I feel should have been done. And you would have a different feeling, right? When I saw Jurassic Park, the second one, I didn't think it was better than the first one. I think the first one is better. I think the same thing with Pirates of the Caribbean. I thought the first one was good. I didn't see any need for the second and third. Same way for Hangover. You know, the first, it was a good comedy, but second, even generally, people didn't exactly receive it well. You know, so I think there needs to just be a conversation of, let us stop this. This is a classic. Let us leave this as it is, and let us focus on doing more films rather than doing. It makes you lazy as a filmmaker. You know, imagine having to do a sequel. Like, I mean, shout out to the guys in Hollywood, but look at Fast and Furious. They do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It feels like, bruh, do something else, right? Let us see how creative you are as a filmmaker. You know, don't start stretching and start bringing story from where the story is not. You know. So you just from nowhere, you just be okay. Let's just imagine, for instance, Anikulapo. Let's imagine Kuloremi had a twin brother. You know, that's not original because I seen the first one, and you know, we saw the story come up. But then that's what you face when you're trying to do a sequel for a film like that. You're thinking of things that you know that it don't make sense to anybody, but then you've collected good money from Netflix and Prime, so you have to deliver. You know, shout out to King of Boys, the series, yeah. But yeah, I'm done.
All right, so bottom line, I want to ask this bottom line.
Yeah.
So would you say that producers, movie creators should not make sequels? Or when they want to make these sequels, they should try to stretch themselves to create something big?
I think it starts from the initial story. So if you feel like a story is too long to be put into one film, stretch it to a part 1, part 2, part 3. But if the story, as far as you're concerned, is being encapsulated in one single film, there is no need to stretch it. And that's a wrap.
And that's a wrap, guys. You heard it. There is no need to stretch it. Thank you so much for watching. Till next time. Bye.